Welcome to Aura Academy. This is a journey of self-discovery, and today we're going to learn more about the clarity method. So let's dive right into it. I have everything pulled up here on my laptop. I've got my tea, so we're ready to go. I'm going to go over the table of contents, talk a little bit about what we're going to be discussing, and we'll just go through each lesson one by one. Lesson 1 is why you're stuck and what it's costing you. Lesson 2 is clarity doesn't come from more information. Lesson 3 is to act before you're ready. Lesson 4, build self-loyalty, not just confidence. Lesson 5, clear your field, amplify your aura. Lesson 6, lead with presence, speak with power. So as you see, there's going to be 6 lessons in total, and we're going to go ahead and just dive right into the introduction. There's just a brief intro just to warm us up, get us ready to unpack all of these things that are blocking our manifestations, blocking our decision-making powers. The thing is, when you're trapped in indecision and analysis paralysis, it has a ripple effect on the rest of your life. So let's talk about analysis paralysis. It's a state of overthinking or overanalyzing a situation to the point where a decision or action is never taken, effectively paralyzing the outcome. It often occurs when a person is faced with too many choices, too much information, or a fear of making the wrong decision. This mental gridlock can lead to missed opportunities, delayed progress, and increased anxiety. Here's an example. Someone spends weeks researching the best fitness program without ever starting one because they're trying to optimize for every possible variable like effectiveness, time, cost, popularity, rather than just like taking imperfect action, So let's say you're feeling like, I want to start doing aerial silks, I want to try this new thing. I've seen some videos and people posting about it. It looks like fun. But then you start looking up studios on your phone. You start thinking, well, what's in close proximity to my home? Could I run into this person there? All of those things. And next thing you know, you're paralyzed. You swipe off of it. You're like, I don't even want to deal with this anymore. And now you're not taking the class, this class that you were so excited to take. You've frozen yourself in time and you're not experiencing life fully. So there are techniques to overcome this. Techniques like setting time limits, narrowing options, embracing good enough, and focusing on action over perfection can help break through analysis paralysis. So action over perfection, just keep saying that to yourself. Action over perfection, action over perfection. When you're in the moment of having to make a decision, it could be the smallest decision. These don't have to be life-changing, life-altering decisions. It could be something as simple as, what do I want for breakfast this morning? Instead of being like, well, I should have something healthy, but I'm also craving this and I don't know because I lost a pound and I don't want to, you're doing the wrong thing. It's what feels most aligned with my body right now? What do I feel good doing internally? What's going to make me feel the best? Not just in the moment, but overall. It's like, what is good enough? Is it good enough that maybe I have a little bit of that thing that I'm craving and then the rest be healthy? Maybe that's a solution, right? So here are some of the key characteristics, just so you can become more familiar with this as you see it come up. Overwhelmed by options or data, inability to make a decision, fear of making mistakes, perfectionism, or desire for certainty. Okay, if you feel like you're always craving certainty, like, well, I just want to know for sure. That's not real life, so that's not realistic. Procrastination disguised as careful thinking. So go within and ask yourself, am I procrastinating here? Or am I just being cautious? Because of course you should take caution. you should tune into your intuition before you make any decision. And I think that is enough caution. So once you've tuned into your intuition and you've listened, then you can feel good about knowing, okay, I approached this with caution, I followed my intuition, and I don't need to procrastinate any further. Here are some common contexts: business and strategic planning, personal life choices, for example, career paths or major purchases, creative projects or writing, software and product development, investing and financial planning. Now, those are just some areas, but they're areas you could be a little bit more aware when you're having to make a decision. Maybe turn up the dial on your awareness and see, am I stuck in analysis paralysis? And then you can utilize the techniques for overcoming it. So now we're at a point where I would love for you to just write your thoughts, because we're at the very beginning of this method and you've only just been introduced to some of these concepts. Some of them you may already be familiar with, but it's good to get a fresh perspective on where you are now. So if you have a journal or a book, I'll show you some of my notebooks here. Like I have my gratitude journal, notebook, and my actual journal that's more like a diary. So I recommend having journals. I go through notebooks all the time, and then I have to get new notebooks, which I love because I like picking, ones that match my personality and that I just think are beautiful and they inspire me to want to write and take notes. So if you have one of those, great. If you don't, you can do it in the notes app on your phone or, a piece of paper. It doesn't really matter, but just write your thoughts about analysis paralysis, whatever they may be. Completely a free write. Take a few moments to do that now. Now that you've finished that part of the exercise, we're going to move into the next section, which is called the cost. This is old way versus the new way. Analysis paralysis is that loop where you overthink, overplan, second guess, and ultimately stall. You scroll for answers, ask for opinions, compare endlessly, and never quite move. It feels like you're preparing, but really it's resistance in disguise. The cost. Here's what it's actually costing you: time you can't get back, self-trust and confidence, missed opportunities, and aligned action. Plus, your energetic presence, your aura. That's what it's costing you. When you're stuck in indecision, your energy gets murky. People can feel that. The solution isn't to know more. It's to clear the clutter and take action. That's the solution. Clear the clutter, take action, especially inspired action. That's also one of the keys. So, included in the course is a daily checklist. This is to keep you in line. Daily affirmations, meditation practice, journaling and writing, right? We're doing that and talking about that. Creating art or content, whatever your art is. It could be singing, it could be dancing, it could be writing, it could be drawing, it could be painting, whatever your creative outlet is that makes you feel the most alive, the most awake and amplified in your aura. You have to be doing that on a regular basis. Breathing exercises. Our breath is our life. So I know that you hear a lot about breath work and a lot about, well, just breathe and things like that. And we tend to take it for granted, but the breath is our life force. So why wouldn't you want to cultivate that, right? Eating a balanced diet. I can't emphasize this enough because a lot of times we think, well, I'm healthy enough or I'm doing enough of this, but your diet is similar to the breath of life. It's like you are becoming what you're putting into yourself. literally. That's why people take vitamins and supplements, and they're trying to make sure that they're getting the nutrients that their body needs, because when they're taking in those things are becoming part of them, part of your inner workings, right? And then that resonates outward. So here's a reflection. Once again, I want you to do some writing, because writing helps us not only to process things, but it also helps us to really commit it to our memory. Okay? So, where in your life are you overthinking instead of moving right now? Write that down. Where in your life are you overthinking instead of moving? So, where do you feel paralyzed? Where do you feel frozen? Where do you feel stuck? Where do you feel trapped, even? Where do you feel like you just are constrained? You're like, oh, I want to break free of this, but I don't know how. Or I'm really, having a hard time making a decision about this, okay? Where in your life are you overthinking instead of moving? Now we're ready for our action steps. So the first action step is to set a decision deadline. Give yourself a clear, non-negotiable time limit to make a decision. This is why this works. Deadlines force focus and reduce overthinking by creating urgency, right? When you have a deadline, you know that this thing has to be accomplished by this time. And that sets you in motion. You know that you have to work on it in increments to make sure that you meet that deadline. So it creates a sense of urgency, like, well, I have to get this done. I have that deadline coming up. Here's an example. Quote, I'll choose a budgeting app by 6 p.m. today. No more research after that, end quote. So that's what you're saying to yourself. You need to do what? Choose a budgeting app. By when? By 6 p.m. today. And you've already decided no more research after that. So regardless of the amount of time that you've spent researching, what your results have been, whatever you come up with by 6 p.m., done. Decision is made. Okay? This is also going to strengthen your self-concept, because every time you keep a promise to yourself, it reinforces that self-concept, and self-concept leads to confidence. 2, limit your options. Consciously reduce your choices to a manageable number, ideally 2 or 3. So use the process of elimination. Why this works. The brain handles fewer options better, and it avoids that decision fatigue that people can fall into, right? Here's an example. Out of 10 potential job offers, I'll focus only on the 3 that best align with my long-term goals. Why even entertain the others? Write out your long-term goals. See which of those positions most align. Not a little bit, not, well, it could, if maybe, that we're not doing if maybes. Yes or no, right? That's going to help you with that process of elimination. You can weed those out, focus on the 2 or 3 that are actually going to serve your highest self. And then you can see, how does my intuition feel about this? What is my day-to-day life going to be like? And so on. And that's how you can make that decision without being stuck in analysis paralysis. So you're prioritizing action over perfection. The one before that was limit your options. And the one before that was set a decision deadline. So with those 3 steps, you're already eliminating so much of that analysis paralysis that many of us get stuck in loops, just like, I don't know what to do. And you talk to this friend, I don't know what to do. And you talk to this relative, I don't know what to do. And you talk to your therapist. And we can end all of that right here, right now. That's why you're learning this. I don't need certainty. I need momentum. I don't need certainty. I need momentum. That's your mantra. So do this today. Today, you're going to pick one thing, okay? Let's focus. Let's just slow down. We're not going to overwhelm ourselves and our nervous system. We're not going to get anxiety today. We're going to just focus on this moment right now. Pick one decision that you've delayed for more than a week and commit to making it within the next 24 hours. Doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's messy, make a mess. Let's make a mess. Today we're going to make a mess, right? We're going to break free. We're going to choose you. We're going to have acceptance. That's what we're going to do. So let's talk about breaking free. One effective way to break free from analysis paralysis is to start small by picking one decision, like we've just talked about, something you've delayed, something that's been more than a week, because obviously it's been taking up that mental real estate, and we're going to free you of that now. This could be anything from choosing a new book to read. It doesn't have to be a big decision, honestly. You're just getting the practice in. So it could be choosing a new book to read, deciding on a workout routine, selecting a specific tool for a project that you've been thinking about ordering online. It's just been sitting in your cart. Make a decision. Delete it from the cart or place the order, unless you have another reason that you've been delaying. But if it's something because you're trying to figure out, is it the right one? No, we're not doing that anymore. So the key is to stop over analyzing. That's what you're practicing. That's why it's good to use small things at first and just practice not over analyzing. Okay? And acknowledge that indecision has become a bigger obstacle than the actual choice itself. So you're spending too much time on that, and time is a resource you can't get back. Okay? So keep that in mind. Identifying this delayed decision creates clarity and shifts your mindset from passive thinking to intentional action. Intentional action. Keep that plugged in as we're going through this. Let's move on to choosing you, because this is important. Once you've chosen the decision, commit to resolving it within the next 24 hours. No exception. This time constraint eliminates the luxury of endlessly weighing pros and cons and forces you to prioritize efficiency over perfection. That's one of our focuses right now. Efficiency over perfection. Even if you feel unsure or unprepared, the act of setting a deadline builds momentum. It also helps rewire your brain to see decision-making as a skill you can strengthen, rather than a stressful gamble you need to get right every time. It's not about always getting it right. Like, let yourself make some mistakes. So what? You made a mistake. So what? You made a mistake. Big deal. Big deal, right? You're going to make more. So get used to it. It's very freeing. And now we can move on to acceptance. That's when you've reached the next level, because you've already broken free, you've already chosen yourself, and now you've reached this new level of acceptance, right? Finally, you can accept that the decision might be messy, and that's okay. And that's okay. It might be incomplete, it might be flawed. The goal here isn't perfection, it's progress. By taking action despite uncertainty, you prove to yourself that imperfect decisions are often better than no decisions. They are. This process builds confidence and makes future choices feel less overwhelming. With practice, you'll find that clarity often comes after action, not before it. So sometimes, in order to get the clarity that you thought you needed to make the decision, it comes after the decision is already made. That's why they say hindsight is 20/20. Isn't that interesting? Clarity begins where overthinking ends. Decide, act, and move forward. Let's move on to Clarity Method Lesson 2. Lesson 2 is all about finding your inner voice. So let's talk about why so many people feel foggy. Even when they're consuming hours of content and advice, they still feel foggy. Here's the truth. More info usually equals more confusion. So it's better to keep a clear channel. Here's today's shift to help with this. You don't need more research. You need to trust your inner voice. You know how I keep mentioning intuition? Yeah, there's a reason for that, because we already have an inner knowing. It's that gut feeling you get when something's off, when something's just wrong, when you want to get out of a place, you're like, I got to get out of here. Or when you're around someone and you're like, I just don't like the way this person is making me feel. Maybe they didn't necessarily do something specific, but those moments are your inner voice. But that's just one example. It's not always something so extreme, like your inner voice comes in at different moments. It's there to help you make even the smallest decisions. So you need to trust your inner voice, and here's why. Most of us are drowning in the opinions of other people. Our brains can't process 25 plus voices at once. And unfortunately, many people grow up with families that have a lot of opinions, a lot of, I'm trying to say this in a delicate way because I understand that different cultures are different. There are different reasons for different things. I get that. But oftentimes when people feel the need to get the approval of their family first before they make decisions, it can cause them analysis paralysis later in life. Let me give an example. If there's a young girl whose mother is always micromanaging her every decision, kind of forcing her into situations, being very controlling, being very involved in like every aspect of her life, so she feels like she doesn't have her own voice, she doesn't have her own thoughts, she doesn't have her own mind. If later in life, let's say she's a young adult just graduating college and her mother happens to pass away, and now she doesn't have that voice of reason anymore, she doesn't have that person making decisions for her anymore or controlling her every move, what do you think happens to her? How do you think she navigates the world, especially dealing with a traumatic loss and all of the emotions and impact that come along with that? Now she has to navigate the world and doesn't know how to, right? True clarity comes from stillness, not stimulation. And many of us are overstimulated from getting advice from friends, talking about our life situations, maybe relationships, things like that, that necessarily aren't other people's business. Maybe if you would spend some more time with yourself, tuning into your own inner voice, you wouldn't need to seek so much outside advice and external validation. So these are just some things to think about. I know that it's different for everyone. That's why I'm really taking into consideration everything I'm saying right now, because this isn't meant to offend anyone. It's about your inner voice. So what's offensive about that? Take into consideration whatever you need to in terms of where you're from or, what your beliefs are and things like that, and apply that as needed. But either way, tuning into your inner voice is going to be something that's definitely going to be pivotal in your journey. The next section is about the shift. So now that we're moving into the shift, we know that every moment is an opportunity to change our perspective. That's the whole point of all of this. So don't be hard on yourself and think, I should have done this, I should have done that. Instead, know that each moment is a new opportunity to shift your perspective. So try this. Turn off external input for 1 hour today. No podcasts, no scrolling, no advice. 1 hour. Sit with your own thoughts and ask, what do I already know? And then go deeper and ask, what do I already know about this decision? So based on your current facts, your current information, what do you already know about this decision? Here's an example of how turning off external input for 1 hour can lead to clarity. Imagine you've been stuck for weeks trying to decide whether to accept a new job offer. You've listened to countless career podcasts, read articles, asked friends for advice, and scrolled endlessly through forums. But the more input you gather, the more confused and overwhelmed you feel. So, today, you decide to do something different. You silence the noise. You turn off your phone, close your laptop, and sit alone with your thoughts for 1 uninterrupted hour. At first, your mind races with all the voices and opinions you've absorbed, but gradually a quieter, more honest voice begins to surface. It's your own. You ask yourself, what do I already know deep down about this decision? And the answer emerges clearly. This new role excites me, even if it's a little scary. It aligns with who I want to become. That moment of stillness cuts through the mental clutter and reconnects you with your inner compass. By tuning out external noise, you create space to hear your intuition, something that gets drowned out when you are constantly seeking validation or reassurance. This simple act of reflection can bring surprising clarity, not because you've gathered more information, but because you finally gave yourself permission to trust what you already knew. That inner voice, the intuition. You have all the answers inside you, just listen. That's a quote by Rumi. And this quote by the 13th century poet and mystic reminds us that deep insight and truth often come from within, not from endless searching outside ourselves. It emphasizes the idea that while external input can be helpful, true clarity usually emerges when we quiet the noise and trust our inner knowing. Trust yourself. And now we'll do a 3-part little check-in just to complete that lesson. So, the first part is, after completing lesson 1 and 2, you have learned that you need to trust your inner voice, you need to listen to other people, you need more confidence. So, which ones do you think are accurate? This is just the little quiz that's at the end of this lesson. 2, which of the following is true? More info equals more confusion. Clarity and overthinking can exist at the same time. The opinions of others should hold the most importance. What do you think? And the third, do this today. Break free, choose you, acceptance. I think that one's pretty obvious because the last option is all of the above. And this is just meant to help to reprogram your mind, because tests don't have to be challenging. Things don't always have to be hard. Sometimes things can be simple. Sometimes things can be easy. Life gets to feel good. That's part of the clarity method too. This isn't all so serious, you know? You have to just allow things to flow a little bit more. Be in the flow. Be like water, my friend. Bruce Lee. Okay. Let's move on to the next lesson. Clarity Method Lesson 3, Inner Wisdom. I am already wise. I just need space to hear it. Repeat that to yourself. Let's get honest. You're never going to feel totally ready. And that's okay, because action creates clarity, not the other way around. Here's what to know. You can't think your way into confidence. It's not going to happen. Action builds trust, step by step by step. Waiting for the perfect moment often leads to none. That's something to remember right there. Here's a quick challenge. Use the 5-second rule. The next time you hesitate, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and take a small action. This is an excellent practice. Send the email, post the idea, make the call, whatever it is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Act before you're ready. You don't need to be ready. Why do you need to be ready? Just take action. You'll get ready. You'll get ready real quick once you're acting on it. That's the way that's going to go. So don't worry about it. Start before you're fully confident, and then watch your confidence catch up. That's just part of it. You know what I mean? You have to allow yourself to do these things, and the more you do them, the more confidence you will build. It's just like a muscle. You're building it each time you take action. So in this lesson, I've included a monthly planner, so you can add your monthly clarity goals. This is specifically about your clarity goals. And then there's a little section at the end where you can add your notes. So look that over, add in whatever you need. There's also a weekly planner, and then we have a little journal prompt. So what I'd like for you to do is write down, what steps can I take to act before I'm ready? I know it seems like a difficult thing because we always think it's all about being ready. Well, I'm not ready yet. I have to get ready. We're rewriting that programming. So write down at least a few, aim for 5 or more, I'll say, steps that you can take immediately to act before you're ready. And that's your journal prompt. Take your time with it, no rush, because this is really important. And that's why that is pretty much all of lesson 3 is dedicated to that prompt, to that monthly planner, creating that, because you have to take your time and be intentional with creating the monthly and the weekly planner, because you're taking the big goal and you're breaking it down into little mini goals, things you can do daily, weekly, monthly, that are going to lead to your desired reality. Okay? And now we're going to move on to lesson 4. The first section of this lesson is about self-trust. And as we mentioned, self-trust leads to self-concept, which leads to confidence. So let's step into lesson 4. We're moving right along with this. Build self-loyalty, not just confidence. So you've probably heard people say things like, that person's overly confident, they're conceited, they're cocky, etc. So this is a different type of confidence. It's confidence in knowing what you're capable of. It's confidence in knowing that you will show up no matter what, that you will keep your word. You know, when you say something, you're going to do it, and you have confidence in that. You don't question, I don't know, I tend to flake out on things. No. So when you build that self-loyalty, the way that you want other people to be loyal to you, you have to be loyal to yourself in that way. Confidence gets a lot of hype, but real transformation comes from self-trust, knowing you'll show up for yourself no matter what. Here's the key. Confidence is the result. Self-loyalty is the process. Keep promises to yourself, even small ones, even the little guys, they matter. And your self-trust grows. When your energy is aligned with your word, your aura becomes unmistakable. Trust yourself. People will be able to sense that you have a strong self-concept, and just watch how magnetic you become. People will want to surround themselves with you. They'll have this feeling that like, wow, they seem like a really good person. And you know where that comes from? Being a good person, they see how you show up for yourself and obviously for others. And that's just the way that that flows. So we're going to do a loyalty practice. Choose one tiny promise, a 5-minute routine, journaling, stretching, or no phone after 5 p.m., whatever it may be. Keep it for 3 days. So choose a tiny promise, something small that's not going to, cause you to like flip out or anything, right? And keep it for 3 days. I trust myself to follow through. Say that again and again. Even look at your mirror reflection and say, I trust myself to follow through. Imagine someone was saying this to you, that they're going to follow through. Imagine they're promising you they're going to do this thing for you. But you're saying it to yourself. You're promising yourself just the way someone would promise you. And now you're looking forward to that promise as if someone else said it to you. Now imagine them not following through with that promise. Imagine what that would feel like, even if it were something small. Look at how people feel when someone says, I'm going to call you later, and they don't call. Right? They didn't even make a huge promise. They just said, I'll call you later. They didn't even say what time. They said later. That could be later next year. But you felt like it was probably going to be later today because they didn't say tomorrow or next week. They said later, right? So make that promise to yourself. I trust myself to follow through. And then I want you to write down how it felt after each day. 3 days. Write down how you felt each day when you followed through with the promise you made to yourself. Self-loyalty is the practice of honoring your own needs, values, and instincts. It builds a powerful foundation for genuine confidence, because when you consistently choose to listen to yourself rather than abandoning your inner voice for external approval, you send a clear message to your mind and body. I can trust me. I can trust me. I can depend on myself. I respect myself. I love myself. I honor myself fully. Over time, this trust compounds. You stop second guessing your decisions so much because you've proven that you'll show up for yourself even when it's uncomfortable. Get used to discomfort. It's always going to be there. And then you'll know I can show up for myself through discomfort. I've done it. I've done it 100 times. I've done it 1,000 times. That's how you get good at it, building that muscle. Confidence doesn't come from always being right. It comes from knowing you'll be loyal to your truth no matter the outcome. If it's the truth, you can be loyal to it. If it's the truth, the ultimate truth, you can be loyal to it. It's worth it. Truth is always worth the sacrifice. That inner alignment creates a steady, unshakable presence that others notice. They will feel it. They will feel that. It's so powerful. When people say your aura is just so bright, that's why you're there. Pure confidence. You're showing up. Pure confidence. Because your self-concept is at a level where you're not questioning, you're not doubting. You're standing in pure truth. And more importantly, you'll feel it. You will feel this shift. So here's a story for an example. Sophia had always relied on others' opinions, whether it was which career path to follow or how to handle personal challenges. When offered a promotion that required relocating to a new city, she felt torn. Everyone had advice. Some warned her not to take the risk, others encouraged her to go for it. After days of spinning in uncertainty, she paused the noise. She took a quiet walk alone and asked herself, what do I truly want? The answer was clear. She was ready for growth. For the first time, she chose based on her own voice, not others. After moving, the challenges were real. New routines, unfamiliar faces, moments of doubt. But every time she questioned herself, she remembered that she made this decision from a place of self trust. That confidence began to spread into her other aspects of life. Imagine that feeling. Imagine the confidence spreading across all these different aspects of your life where you used to feel anxiety, used to feel worried and concerned and just like agitated over every little thing. You don't need to feel that anymore. You can soothe your nervous system with clarity. In the next part of this lesson, we're going to reflect and choose. So, let's do a little exercise. I want you to build self-loyalty through micro decisions. Okay? So that's what we're going to do with this. Here's a little quote from the book, from the author of Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. You don't have to be fearless. Just don't let fear stop you. And if you've ever read that book or seen the movie, then you know what she's talking about with that. So, building self-loyalty through micro decisions. Here's the objective. Strengthen your self-loyalty by practicing small conscious decisions that honor your inner voice. Step 1, reflect on your life. Find a quiet spot and ask yourself, where in my life am I ignoring what I truly want or need? Write down one area where you've been sidelining your own instincts. This could be in your work, relationships, health, or daily routine. Step 2, choose one decision. Pick one small, specific action you can take today that reflects self-loyalty in that area. Here are some examples. Saying no to something you usually say yes to out of guilt. You know. Taking a 15-minute walk just because you want it, not because it's productive. Speaking your honest opinion in a low-risk conversation. And step 3, follow through. Commit to taking that micro action before the day ends. Notice how it feels to follow your inner voice, even in a small way. Small acts of self-loyalty teach your nervous system that you have your own back. Over time, this builds real, grounded confidence because it's not based on perfection, but on consistent alignment with your truth. That's so important. And to conclude lesson 4, we have a journal prompt. I'd like you to write down, what small promise can I keep to myself this week? It can be anything you want, but make it be true to you. What small promise can I keep to myself this week? Write that journal prompt. It can be as long as you want it to be, just free write from your heart and be good to yourself. That's what this is all about. Staying inspired. And now we're moving into lesson 5, energy cleanse. We're ready to clear your energy, okay? We're going to clear your field and amplify your aura. It's time to feel truly alive. Our energy profoundly shapes not only how we feel internally, but also how we interact with the world around us. When our energy is clear, balanced, and grounded, we tend to feel more focused, confident, and calm, qualities that naturally influence our relationships and environment in positive ways. Conversely, when our energy is cluttered or low, it can lead to feelings of stress, confusion, or overwhelm, which may inadvertently affect those we encounter by creating tension or misunderstanding, because energy is contagious. Nurturing and maintaining our personal energetic field helps us show up as our best selves, fostering healthier connections and a more harmonious atmosphere wherever we go. So let's talk energy. You walk into a room and people feel your energy before you speak, right? You've sensed it before. You've seen people sense your energy, and you've also sensed the energies of others. So what are you carrying around? What are people feeling from you when you sit down next to them or across from them, when they make eye contact with you, when they shake your hand or give you a hug? What is that energy that they're feeling? What is lingering in your field? It's probably time to cleanse yourself. You know why? Because it's always time to cleanse yourself. It doesn't really matter. This isn't any judgment on anyone in particular, but everyone is carrying stuff, clutter, and we've got to get rid of it. So let's talk about what we can do to boost and balance our energy. Both are very important. Here are some effective practices to ground, cleanse, and charge your energy field. This is helpful for restoring balance and boosting clarity. 1. Grounding practices. Connect with nature, walk barefoot on the grass, or the soil, or the sand, to physically connect with the earth's energy. So grounding is extremely important, and doing it on a regular basis, not just doing it once and then forgetting about it. You have to make this part of your ritual. That's also part of why you have that weekly and monthly calendar. These are the things that you can be putting in that calendar: your grounding practices, your cleansing practices, your charging practices. Deep breathing is another grounding practice. Use slow, intentional breaths to bring your awareness into the present moment and root your energy. Everything is about the present moment. There is no future, there is no past. The past is created by the present also creates the future. Everything is the present, so it's all the present, okay? Root your energy in that present moment, and that's how you ground yourself, with the breath, connecting to the earth, visualization. You can imagine roots growing from the bottoms of your feet deep into the earth, anchoring and stabilizing you. We know how powerful visualization is. We know how powerful placebo effects are. That's showcasing the power of the mind. Utilize it. 2, cleansing practices. Smudging using sage, palo santo, or incense to clear negative or stagnant energy around you and your space. Salt baths, something I do all the time. Soaking in Epsom or sea salt can purify your body and energy field. If you don't have time for a bath, which is what you always hear, I don't take baths. Okay, here's what you can do. Epsom salt in the hand, in the palm of your hand. And if you want, you can even add some baking soda. You leave it cupped in your hand. When you get in the shower, you just let a little bit of the water sprinkle in so that it becomes more of a paste. And then you can massage your hands together, and you can begin at your neck, and you can just massage it all over yourself. Trust me, you're going to feel so good after you do that, and you can do that daily. Sound clearing. Use bells, singing bowls, or chanting to break up stuck energy and restore flow. Sound is vibration frequency, and that's why it's so powerful. That's why it's used in so many things. Please feel free to do your own research on any of the things that I'm mentioning here, but focusing on sound and frequencies, especially since we're always listening to music, movies, podcasts, whatever, there's always sound going in and out, in and out. We're listening to sirens going by, traffic noise, all of that. So by having certain frequencies playing, crystal singing bowls, which are made from quartz crystal, I use a crystal harp, which is made from quartz crystal, tuned to 432 hertz. If you look into these different frequencies, you'll see that each one resonates with something different. So it's really fascinating to do some research on. Charging practices. Sunlight or moonlight. Spend time in natural light to energize and recharge your field. Intentional affirmation. Speak positive intentions aloud to infuse your energy with clarity and purpose. Crystals or energy tools. Hold or meditate with quartz like clear quartz or amethyst to amplify and balance your energy. What I will say about crystals is I know that some people have some apprehension about them. However, quartz crystal is used in watches, all types of technology, and things like that. And it's because it is a conductor, it does store energy, and it does amplify. So, and to wrap up this lesson, we're going to do a journal prompt. What parts of my mind, body, or spirit are asking for attention, rest, or release right now? And how can I honor that need with care? That's your journal prompt right now. What parts of my mind, body, or spirit are asking for attention, rest, or release right now? And how can I honor that need with care? You can make a list on this, or you can just do a free writing exercise. You could do a love letter to yourself, telling yourself how you're going to honor that need with care, whatever works well for you. And also write this down. My aligned self already exists. I just need to return to it. So that's a great reminder for you. You could place that somewhere where you'll see it on a regular basis. My aligned self already exists. I just need to return to it. Moving into lesson 6, let's talk about the higher self. Reflect on simple ways you can support yourself, whether through rest, movement, setting boundaries, or creating space to simply be. Let your intuition guide you. Let your intuition guide your answers without judgment. Embody the higher self, right? Picture it like this. You made it. Now it's time to integrate everything, because this work isn't just about the doing. You know what I mean? It's more about the being. It's more about the embodiment. So when you know that your presence is your power, when you speak with that strong conviction and you're just there in your full presence, it's so powerful that people can't help but to listen. They want to listen. Their desire to hear you is enhanced. When you decide with ultimate clarity, doors open. When you move as your higher self, that's how you shift your reality, because you're already embodying the you that you want to become. And you're doing it in every way possible. You're going to the places that the higher you would go to. You're doing the daily routines that your higher self would do every single day. And you're keeping up with that self concept. You're keeping the promises that you've made to yourself. So You're shifting your reality every single moment. And you're also leading with your presence. You're setting an example, and people are going to be inspired by you. They're going to want to embody that energy that you have. Let's move into visualization 1. Close your eyes and imagine your higher self. Confident, clear, grounded. What do they wear? How do they speak? How do they move? I don't want you to just visualize this. I want you to write it down. And I want you to give as many details as you possibly can. Be specific. How does this person function in the world? Your highest, most clear, most grounded, most confident self. How do they show up in the world? Write that out. Take as much time as you need, as much space as you need, and just see what comes to you naturally. Moving into visualization 2 of lesson 6, ask yourself, what would this version of me choose today? Don't worry about anything else. The version of you that we just visualized, take that version and apply it to today. And write down what this version of you would do today. No limitations. And here's your final journal prompt for lesson 6 of the Clarity Method. What inner shifts can I make to lead with presence? Write this out. What inner shifts can I make to lead with presence? Whatever comes to mind, there's no wrong answer here. It's going to be different for every single person. So there can't be a wrong answer. But you leading with presence, what does that look like in your life, in your world, in your career, in your family, in your personal life, in your relationships? And what inner shifts are you willing to make? Write them down. Make that commitment to yourself. Now is the time. You have the clarity. You're ready. Even if you don't think you're ready, you're ready. You can go through this material as many times as you need to. You can repeat the affirmations as many times as you need to. Journal it out, write it out, process it. Notice your feelings as they come up. It's okay to feel different emotions. Fear will come up from time to time, confusion, all of these things. But now you know what to do. You've broken the cycle of overthinking. You've activated your clarity. You've stepped into your magnetic presence. My darling, this is just the beginning. Welcome to Aura. Stay amplified.